What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video and the start of a brand new series where I am going to review your Sorare galleries and potentially roast a lot of you. Now for those of you that don't know, I am a full-time FIFA YouTuber and I used to do a series on FIFA called I Rate Your Teams, which is what gave me the idea for I Rate Your Galleries. But I'm not the only person that's ever had this idea, and shout out to Salah is Beast, I'll leave a link in the description. Really underrated content creator. Actually, he's been doing this series for a little while now, and I decided to reach out and ask him if I could also do this series, and he was kind enough to give me his blessing, so we're both going to be running this series now. If you want to be involved in the future, go and follow me on Twitter at Itshaber, and I'll be tweeting out every week asking you guys for information about your galleries to then review them. So if you're not involved in this episode, you can definitely get involved in the next one. I really wasn't expecting the amount of people to respond. I will say I'm only going to be reviewing galleries of people that actually follow me, because I want to review people that are going to actually watch the content and enjoy engaging with the content. So I don't want to just review people that just fancy a little bit of airtime and will never watch the content again. Do you know what I mean? So make sure you actually follow me so I can review your gallery. But yeah, we got, I think, over 100 responses. So let's jump into it and look at some galleries. Very quick disclaimer. I just want to quickly say I don't think I'm very good at Sorare. In fact, I often critique my own Sorare ability, decision making and things like that, and I think you guys that watch the content regularly know that I don't think of myself as some above being that knows Sorare better than anybody else. The idea of this series is to give a different perspective to Sorare managers who are maybe feeling a bit stuck with their galleries or don't know where they should look to potentially move next. Yeah, the idea is just to give a little bit of a perspective difference, or a little bit of difference of opinion that might help push people in the right direction or in a different direction. You don't have to take my advice. In fact, I almost implore you not to take my advice. It's more so just so that you can do your own independent thinking based on a different opinion, right? Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, the idea is just to be helpful, to be honest. So obviously we're going to start off with Salah's gallery. As part of the deal of him letting me do this series, I said I'd review his gallery on the first episode. His gallery's worth just under 5 ETH, around £7,000. It's a big gallery. Like, the thing is, like, so it's funny, he actually called me a whale. I think my gallery's worth at the moment around £40,000, which is an insane amount of money, right? But like, a £7,000 gallery that's a lot of money, man. That is genuinely a lot of money, but it doesn't feel like a lot of money in the Sorare world, because we have people like Paywell Trader who's got a £2 million gallery, or PSU fans with a £500,000 gallery. But £7,000 is a lot of money, man. That's a car, bro. That's like a 5% down payment on a house. Anyway, let's have a look and see how you've been doing. So in terms of your SO5 stats since you joined on the 21st of February, kind of around the time I started taking Sorare seriously as well, you've won 0.9, or that's a current valuation of your rewards, 0.9 ETH, as well as almost half an ETH in ETH earnings. I'm looking through and seeing that you play majority Challenger Europe and Cap modes. In fact, I actually watch your content when you do lineup builders, so I know what you play. And I feel like recently, in the last sort of few months, is where you've really been doing well with Sorare and getting some really good rewards in the rare categories. Looking at it, I feel like the Sorare is your best reward. I think that he was, I remember watching the video actually when you won him, 20th in Cap 240. I think it was a good reward for that as well. Very close to getting the jersey mint. Unfortunately, you didn't. I know that you sold the card as well, so you don't still have him. Gokares being another one of your best rewards as well. So overall, I think you've been doing pretty well as of the last few months, and I think going into the new season, you'll have a lot more success as well. Now, in terms of your gallery, it's very heavily rare-based with one super rare. I don't actually know what your super rare is. Gonzalo Escalante. It's an interesting one. I didn't ask for any information beforehand. I'm just going in broad with this one. Wow, this is a great card. Oh my word, who is this guy? I've never seen him before. So he plays for Cadiz. I don't know if that's a new transfer or not, because you have a Cremonese card. That's a 1 of 10 actually as well. You picked up this card for around 0.175 ETH. I've just realized I should zoom in a little bit for you guys as well. About 0.175 ETH is what you paid for this card. He's a really good scorer. I'm guessing you want to play Kickoff Super Rare with this card, which I'm not going to lie to you, if that is the case, I don't know if it is or not, or maybe you're moving into playing Rare Pro. I personally would stay away from Kickoff Super Rare. I'm not a big fan of the Kickoff modes. I know that there is obviously a really good route for progression. I don't think the rewards in the Kickoff modes are worth it, in my opinion, to then play. I think maybe in Rare it's worth it if you have some decent limited and a Rare card, or maybe in Unique, but I don't think it is in Super Rare, because I think that playing 4 Rares along with a Super Rare, that same team that you need to sort of win the points in that division, you can put into Rare Pro, like All-Star Rare Pro, for example, have a good chance of getting a decent reward if your team bangs. And I think if you think about it, would you rather win a Super Rare from Kickoff Super Rare or put it in All-Star Rare Pro, which you could potentially win ETH and a rare card? That's easier to sell. That's my thought process on it. But obviously, if that's what you're going for. Now, I did notice as well that you run a lot of Academy lineups over the summer, which I heavily respect. I don't think enough people are trading their cards at the moment. You have a really nice Hadjuk split stack at the moment with really nice collection bonus as well. 11.5% on Kalinic and Melniak, 11%, 10%, and 10.5%. I see you also have, I think you had another, you have a bunch of Club Brugge players as well. Yaramchuk, Vanaken, Mekele, and Simon Mignolet. And I'm guessing that this is your kind of lineup. But I personally would rather look at either cashing in on this Escalante card if you can get a decent a price for him and getting a different Super Rare you can play in Challenger Europe Rare Pro or All-Star Rare Pro, or putting this and maybe looking to get a new Super Rare and putting it into All-Star Rare Pro. That's kind of what I would look at doing here, because I think that, like, if this guy is going to get the same level of scores that he's been getting recently next season, like the 94 or 76, that is more than good enough to play into All-Star Rare Pro. And looking at this card, like, what's he saying for his home games? I mean, this card bangs at home. Even in not easy matchups, I wouldn't say these are particularly easy matchups, and he bangs. His AA game is great. This is a good card, man. But yeah, that's my thought process anyway. Now, in terms of, I'm not going to recommend a card for everybody, but I'm going to recommend a card here and there for people. And what I would say, a card that I think would work well for your gallery, actually, is this Boknjevic, because he's not a super expensive rare card, but he works well with your Noppert. Because I was looking at your goalkeepers, for example, and your Challenger Europe goalkeepers. You have Noppert, who is currently of Heerenveen, who potentially could move if Billo goes to United, which I don't think is happening. Noppert is a really solid goalkeeper. He's got great AA game. And I was looking at his clean sheets. And one thing I noticed, that when Noppert keeps a clean sheet, a lot of the time, Boknjevic also gets a really, really nice score. Now, granted, Noppert doesn't always keep clean sheets, but when he does keep a clean sheet, for example, in this game against Go Ahead Eagles, a 98.5 for Boknjevic. In this game against Excelsior, a 93.4 against Boknjevic. In this game against Emmen, Boknjevic scored 100 points off AA alone. Did he do well? Did he play in this Heerenveen game? He did, and he just scored just under 60. Like, for me, I think those two cards go hand in hand. And of course, guys, if you have any different thought process to me, leave comments down below of your opinions on people's galleries as well. I think it's very, very helpful to get as many opinions as possible. So if you have any feedback, please let me know in the comments down below for the people that are going to watch the videos with the gallery reviews, if that makes sense. But all in all, though, I think your gallery is looking really good, especially considering, like, for a 5 ETH gallery, like, you have some really nice cards, man. Like, I really do like the Nopper and the Hadjuk split stack. I like Simon Mignolet. I think Club Brugge are going to bang next year. You've got obviously Hans Vanaken. I really like this Escalante card. I think his scores look really nice. You've got Zaruki rare card as well. You have some really, really nice cards. I think your biggest weakness, though, realistically, I think comes in the forward department. I think maybe another solid forward would work well for you. I think Lupazor is great, and I'm assuming you're playing him in your Hadjuk split stack. And Nuno Santos is not terrible either. I think he's a pretty decent forward. You know, he gets some nice scores. And when he scores, he gets usually a really nice score. Excuse me. I don't know how he is going to play or improve with Gyökeres moving to Sporting, but I think maybe one more decent forward could be the way forward, so you can run 3 really solid, strong, rare lineups. But yeah, and that being said, though, I mean, like, I think Mendy's not bad. I think Mendy does get some nice scores, so obviously you can use him if you're running a gas lineup. But I am kind of a little bit speculative and a little bit like, I'm not the biggest fan of second division Europe players, on the simple reason that if you have your gas lineups, your all-star lineups sort of secured and locked in, the only place you can play a second division Europe card is in second division, and I just don't think the rewards are great for that division, so I personally stay away. But yeah, that for me, like, I'm not going to give you a rating out of 10, but I think overall that you've got a really solid gallery. Now, one thing I want to make sure to do for everyone's gallery is go and have a look at the card they've won the most with and see what their return is on that card. And your return on this Simon Mignolet, you picked up this card for what did you pay for him? Oh, you got him in a trade. Let me see what you traded. So you traded valuation that day, half an ETH. So you overpaid a little bit, but not much. Obviously, it's a trader, so you did overpay a little bit, which I understand. I overpay for cards all the time as well when I want to trade other cards. I think that's the way forward. And so far, he has contributed to around 10% so far of his value, just over, including the ETH. Like, I would say about 14-15% maybe. Total value now 0.7. Yeah, what's that? So yeah, roughly like 0.07. Sorry, you got a solid like sort of 15% maybe, 13 to 15%. That's not bad, to be fair, considering you've not had him a huge amount of time. Like, that is a really, really good return on Mignolet. So obviously, best of luck with the new season. I'm actually looking forward to see how you do, because obviously I do watch Salah's content along with a bunch of other Sorare content creators. So I'm excited to see how Salah does with the new season. Next up, I have picked Tofton, my friend Daniel Toft. He's always in like a lot of Sorare streams. I see him in NEP streams, especially. I have a bunch of conversations with him. Really, really nice guy. That's who we've picked for number 2. So let's jump into his gallery and see what he's cooking. So he said he's getting ready for the European season, especially in terms of super rares. He wants to start winning some super rares. He's got about 5 ETH in terms of available funds, and he doesn't want to sell any of his Chelsea players. I'm guessing he's a Chelsea fan. And actually looking at his gallery earlier, he's definitely a Chelsea fan. But I am a big fan of some of the cards. So I've focused this on the super rares. You have 13 limited, 91 rares, but obviously your focus wants to be in super rare for the next season. So I've filtered it to super rare. And what I've noticed is that you have 2 1 of 10 Chelsea defenders in Reece James, who I think is actually going to be a great card next season, and Ben Chilwell. You also have a couple of nice cards just in Seydou Sow. You have Umar Soleil, who's a great under 23 super rare to have. Mukiele's number 1 out of 10. If he gets game time, I don't think you get it at PSG, but there's definitely potential for him to get a loan out somewhere, I feel like, if PSG strengthen a bit more in defense, because I don't think they need him necessarily. I like Gedson. Sadly, he's aged out, but I do like this super rare a lot. I think he's a very, very solid card to have. I think he gets great AA scores. Kudus is a very nice 1 of 10 to have as well, especially one of his older cards. Just a clean card in my opinion. 1 of 10 Loftus-Cheek, 3 of 10 Havertz, 1 of 10 Bentancur, and then in terms of forwards, you have a couple of cards that I really like. Joseph Panciel, I also have a super rare Panciel. I like him a lot. Jesper Karlsson, Jonathan David. I don't know if Jonathan David, sorry, I don't know if he ages out. He ages out next year, which is really, really good. So overall, I mean, you got Joao Felix, super rare, who could get a really favourable move, and also a Julian Alvarez super rare. You got some really nice super rares, man. I really like your gallery for super rares. So I'm guessing you also want to play under 23 super rare as well as the other super rares. I think looking at your gallery, I think what makes sense is under 23 super rare and Champion Europe / All-Star super rare look like 2 really good categories to attack. Now, in terms of cards that I would look to pick up for you, I think first of all, one that makes a lot of sense would be a super rare Nicholas Jackson. Obviously, he's just signed for Chelsea. You're a Chelsea fan. I think this card makes a lot of sense, because I think if the Chelsea boys you have, for example, Chilwell and Reece James, I predict will get a lot of assists next season if they're playing at left wing back and right wing back, because I think Pochettino, the way he wants to play, will be really fun attacking high intensity football. I see them winning the ball high up and getting a bunch of assists between them next season. I think Jackson on the end of a Reece James cross makes a lot of sense, and he's in some great form at the moment, so hopefully he continues it on to next season. Now, the one thing I will say about Chelsea is that I think they've got a tough opening game in the season, and maybe 2, because West Ham, I think, are going to come out of the gate you know, fast. I think they're gonna start trying to get some good results under their belt. So it could be a couple of not easy games, but then you have a really decent run, in my opinion, of Luton at home, Forest at home, Bournemouth away, Villa at home, and Fulham away, and Burnley away. Now, I would predict Chelsea beat Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Villa will be a tough game. I think a draw there might be a fair result. Depends on how Villa play. But you got a really good run of fixtures. So yeah, I think Jackson will definitely score some good goals there. And also, it makes a lot of sense for your gallery because he can play with your Chelsea stack or he can play in under 23 for you as well. So works really well. Now, another card I would look to pick up if I were you, if it's possible. I don't know if this is going to be one that's possible for you. I don't think it'll be a hugely expensive card. And I will say with a pinch of salt, I don't know for sure if I don't know about Tiago Silva's situation, so he could be on the move, and if he is, obviously ignore this advice. I don't know, or he could potentially not be a starter next season, which again, you'll know more than me as a Chelsea fan, so ignore this advice if that's the case. But I feel like a Tiago Silva unique card would probably work really well for you. In terms of his scores, they are really good for Chelsea when he does start. Obviously, he's 38, but that didn't stop him last season from being a beast, right? If we look especially at sort of home games for Chelsea, he's very strong. Now, when Chelsea keep a clean sheet, he often gets a 70+ score. And I think that you'll have a bunch of games, if we filter this to Chelsea alone real quick, you'll have a bunch of really nice games for him. Especially with some of the good matchups coming up. Like this period right here was nuts, right? I think it could be a card that works really well if you're going to play a, let's say, Champion Europe Super Rare team with your Chelsea stack. Kepa, Tiago Silva, whoever you play in midfield, Nicholas Jackson, and I don't know, Reece James against Luton at home could be an insane team that smashes for you, right? Alternatively, a super rare could also work really well for you, but that's maybe a card I would look at for you. And obviously, being a Chelsea fan, they're two cards I think work really well for you. But I like your gallery a lot, Daniel. I think it's a really nice gallery. I do want to look at your Theo Hernandez card. So you picked up Theo for 0.89 in a bundle auction. I don't know if that's how much you paid individually for him or if that's how much you paid for the whole bundle. I'm guessing it's the whole bundle. No, it wouldn't have been. On the 13th of November, that would have been his price individually in the bundle, I imagine. But he's won you 15 cards, and obviously you played him during the World Cup, which unfortunately I think he picked up an injury after a couple of big games. But he's won you back about 0.183 plus the ETH. I mean, the valuation now is apparently at 0.099, but like that's just because of how much prices have gone down since then. But like, I think it's fair to look at roughly around 0.2 ETH. I mean, that is solid. Considering you picked him up for 0.946, that's solid, man. You've done really well. Sorry, you didn't pick it up for 0.9.6. I just read that wrong number. You picked him up for 0.893. I mean, that's a solid return. That's a solid return. But yeah, like I said, I like your gallery a lot. And best of luck with next season. All right, next up, we have got my boy Tony Watt and his gallery. Let's see what Tony's cooking. This one I'm excited for. Tony gave me literally no anything. He didn't say anything. He just put his gallery. But the funny thing is that I know Tony well enough now, though, to kind of know what he is prepared to do and not do and whatnot. And Tony is an absolute savage on Sorare. He buys and sells cards more than Paywell Trader himself. No, he doesn't really. Close to, though. But yeah, Tony's an absolute savage. I love it, though. I love that cutthroat sort of, like, if you don't like a card, he's gone kind of thing. And I also really like Tony's gallery. It's worth about 12.2 ETH, which when you actually look at the plays he's got in his gallery, it feels like his gallery should be worth a lot more. And I feel like maybe the... oh, hang on. We've got a goal notification. Okay, nice. All right, so we have a goal notification. One of my players has scored a goal in my Captain 40 Rare team. We love that. Sorry. Yeah, Tony's, when you look at his cards, I feel like his gallery is actually undervalued on Sorare data because I think that he probably, I was going to say suffers, but it's not suffers, but like he has a lot of cards that maybe are undervalued because they haven't sold recently, for example. I don't know. But he's got a really nice gallery. He's got a bunch of really good super rares. I'm a bit jealous of some of his super rares. I love his Muslera. I think that his Dino Pelic is solid. He's got a really nice... he's got a nice Dinamo Zagreb sort of stack, and he also has a really nice Galatasaray stack as well, which I like. But looking at some of his gallery, he's got some nice cards. if we look at his SO5 stats, he has won 2.58 ETH earnings and almost 4 ETH in cards. I would say it's about 4 ETH in cards, maybe a bit more than that. He's won quite a few like decent cards. He's won some super rares. He's won some decent rare cards as well. Overall, he's done really, really well. He's had 2 wins in total as well, which is really impressive. I would say the one thing that I would say for Tony straight away, there's one card that I think is a huge must for Tony. If he can get the card, I don't know what Tony's budget is working with at the moment, but he's a professional footballer, all right? You know, go get the card. Get a signed one if you can. No, I think this guy's super rare, Bardachki, makes a lot of sense for Tony's gallery. And the reason why I think that, first of all, he's a monster scorer. And he is also a monster scorer when he starts for Galatasaray as well, who I think in Turkey, and I think Chani made a really good point on one of the Sorare data shows, I think the top-end teams like the Galatasarays, the Fenerbahces and whatnot are going to really dominate this season. I think a lot of Turkish teams are actually suffering quite significantly. And I know Tony already has a Victor Nelson super rare, which I think he partners in his Galatasaray stack. And he is also a really nice card as well, don't get me wrong. I just think, like, from a more consistent green scoring point of view, I really like this Bardachki card. But obviously, if you want to stick with Nelson, it makes sense too. But I was looking at, like, for example, in game week 388, which isn't far away now. Oh, sorry, this isn't... I've messed that up. I don't think that guys have a game in 388. I think I just put that in anyway. But I was looking at, like, his potential lineups, for example, and All-Star Super Rare or Challenger Europe Super Rare, he could have a really strong Galatasaray stack with good percentage as well, given the fact that he's got a percentage bonus on a couple of these cards. I really like Artukoglu as well if he stays. I don't know his situation at all. But yeah, you throw in a Bardachki here, and you could be looking at a really, really strong team. Without a shadow of a doubt, this team definitely has potential to reach the upper echelon of this division. I think that if we look at this game, for example, did Bardachki play in this one, and how did he score if he did play? Because what would we add to the points then if it wants to load? He scored 59.8. Which, if we add the super rare bonus, like 500 points. No, so he would have gained probably, what, 70, maybe 80 points? I mean, we're looking at like a tier 2 there, a tier 2 super rare, roughly. I don't know what ETH he would have got from that as well. If you had Bardachki in this team, for example. So, like, yeah, for me, like, I think it's and that's with no captain as well. If we were to go and captain, let's throw in his Victor Nelson for now. If we captained Artoglu as well, I don't know what Mr. Nelson got in that game week. It was this one, right? He actually got better than Bardachki. But yeah, I think it's a really strong lineup, to be honest. I like your Galatasaray lineup a lot. Bar that, I don't think I would change much. I think you're in a great position for the new season. I'm assuming you're training your players. You are, obviously. I like your Ivan Usic card, really nice card. I think you're in a strong position, though. I think you are going to hoover up a lot of rewards in this upcoming season, whether it be in Challenger or All-Star Super Rare, whether it be in Rare Pro. Yeah, your teams are looking strong. Strong indeed. I like it. And I think this is a game where my guy scored. It is Horigome. Let's go, Horigome. What a baller. What kind of goal did he score? From the center of the box to the top right corner, that's the most Horigome goal you can ever score. He's just like, that's Horigome in a nutshell. He's just a beast, right? Like, what a guy. Big Yuki. All right, next up we have got Bithorse's gallery. He said, seen a couple of people doing this, quite an interesting idea. That's the idea of it. I just want to, like, different opinions, I think, help out a lot of people. So the focus now is to build into Rare Pro next season to podium at least, keeping most of my cards in the league so I can stay on top of the team news and sell all limited bar AFC. I was going to say Aston Villa. I'm an idiot. Arsenal, obviously. So, looking straight into this. Now, I had a bit of fun looking at this gallery. I think it's actually a really, really cool gallery. You have a Brestois kind of foundation, and I think that's definitely where I would look to build upon. Now, you have 3 super rares in your gallery. I think, like, Rare Pro could be a decent avenue for your gallery in the future. Based on what you have and moving forward, because the reason why I think it could be a decent avenue, because it'll allow you to build another team out, right? And you can play sort of a rare team and a rare pro team, and then obviously if you're selling your limiteds, we'll see what happens there as well. Don't know your value in limited, so I don't know exactly how much you're going to get for those cards. So I'm just snooping around as well, looking at these cards and seeing sort of what we're saying here as well. Peer Coop Miners. I wonder if he's the other Coop Miners brother. We get some of his scores around here, buddy. Jeez, 98 base of AA. I love that. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting myself carried away. You have won 0.15 in Ethereum. I guarantee I forgot to look at Tony's Benzema, but it's a limited card anyway. Yeah, whatever. And 0.58 in ETH earnings. Looking at your sort of winnings as well, it does seem like a very, very limited focused gallery, which is fair enough. I personally don't really dabble in limiteds very much. It's not really my area of expertise, so I don't want to give too much advice based on limited, but I think two cards that would work for your gallery straight away that I think make a lot of sense would be rare Lee Malou. I know he's a bit expensive, and if he's about out of the price range, it makes total sense, but he has been killing it for Brest recently, and I think if he continues this form, it could be a fantastic card to have in your gallery, given the fact you have Bizot and Chardonnay Super Rare already. I think obviously looking at some of the games in which he has been very, very good, it makes total sense to me in order to bring him in. Because if you have Bizot, Super Rare Chardonnay, and Rare Lee Malou, you have got the insanely strong foundation for a rare pro team there. Because your Chardonnay would have been over 100 points at 75, I think, or roughly nearly 100 points. Lee Malou, let's say with a 5% bonus, you're looking at 84, 85 points. And Bizot, again, like nearly 80 points with the bonus. So I think another card that could make a lot of sense for you. It's an interesting one, but I think a Super Rare Kenny Lala could also make a bit of sense for your gallery too. And the reason why I say Super Rare Kenny Lala could make a good amount of sense is because Kenny Lala is capable of those big boy scores. I think it is very matchup dependent, but he is capable of those big boy scores. And if we look at him at home, he's definitely a lot better than he is away, and he gets those nice AA games as well. And what I like to do a lot of the time is I like to have a goalkeeper and two Super Rare defender stack when it comes to rare pro, especially if the budget isn't huge, because you get the 10 points per defender for the clean sheet and the 25 points for the goalkeeper. It's a 45 point swing, and if they're two super rares, we're looking at more of a 50 point swing roughly, plus the XP, maybe like 55 points. We're looking at a 55 point swing with XP, just for having a clean sheet. That's an extra 55 points on the team if you have two super rares from the same team. Not to mention, Kenny Lala can get the odd assist here and there, and we know he's capable of really good form because in previous seasons he has been on insane runs. Obviously, he's not hit that form for a few years now, but it's definitely possible. I think it could be a good pickup for your gallery. I was looking at game week 399 for you, and looking at your potential here. If you had a Kenny Lala super rare, for example, I put in Olsen, but you could obviously go with Lee Malou here as well if you pick him up. You have a decent matchup here against Le Havre for Bizot and for Chardonnay. So Brest have a decent matchup against Le Havre. Away. Olsen, if you wanted to use him, and Kaba have a half decent matchup at home to Brøndby. A Super Rare Kenny Lala here, and you could be cooking, because in terms of historical data, like, you have had a couple of game weeks before where you've had a really, really strong showing. And I wonder if Kenny Lala would have been beneficial in either of these lineups. I wonder. Well, Kenny Lala got an 82 points. So if you had Super Rare Kenny Lala in this lineup here, you are only 50 points away. You're looking at a tier 1. If you had Kenny Lala in game week 363 as super rare, you would have got a tier 1 plus the bonus. Like, you're looking at a tier 1 card here. If you know what I mean, that would have been absolutely crazy. So for me, I think it's a decent card to pick up. Obviously, that's just my opinion, and feel free to disagree. And if anyone has any different opinions in the comments down below, please. I will never get offended if you have a different opinion to me. Like, feel free to roast my ass. I am more than capable of taking it. All right, next up we have got Paywell Trader. Paywell? Doesn't pay well at all, does he? We have Paywell Trader. He doesn't follow me. I don't follow him, to be fair, either. But I thought I would review this one anyway. We're not gonna do a full gallery review of this guy. You may know who he is. He said its focus now is to win Mbappe and Haaland super rare cards in the same game week. I bet it is. Focus next season is to be a millionaire, not in dollars, but finally have 1 million cards in the club. Potential investment of 1,000 ETH, and for a reasonable offer, I can buy, sell, or swap everything. Well, Paywell doesn't Paywell Trader. I thought what would be interesting is to have a look at some of your transactions and see what you consider a fair offer. I thought that would be very, very interesting. Now, you have a total of a lot of cards in the club. What, 94,000, nearly like 94,000 limiteds, 37,000 rares, 2,300 supers, 400 uniques nearly, and nearly 4,000 custom series cards as well. He's got gallery valuation 2.1 million, and in terms of his SO5 stats, he's won 74.82 Ethereum. Sorry, 74.82 Ethereum of cards, 43 ETH in just Ethereum, in a total of 523 rewards, which for a gallery of 1,569 ETH, I'd say that's not great. Paywell Trader, that doesn't pay well. Yeah, I mean, the thing I'll tell you one thing that I did laugh at with Paywell Trader recently, and like, I don't hate Pavel for context. I don't hate this guy at all. I think that there are times where maybe he takes a bit of advantage of people, you know, but like, I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, it's his gallery, they're his cards. He can do what he wants. I just think that sometimes he's a wee bit greedy and takes advantage of people that are maybe in a more desperate position, and he knows that he can make profit on a deal, but will still push to make even more profit on a deal. But one thing I did find funny is that he actually accidentally cancelled his lineup. He would have won Champion Asia Unique again, but he cancelled his lineup because he sent a counter offer. I just thought that was funny. I'm sorry, Paywell Trader. I thought that was funny. But we are going to have a look at Paywell Trader's transactions. I thought instead of doing a gallery review, we do a little transaction review and look at some of the transactions he's done recently and see what he considers a fair offer. So let's have a look. So this guy had to pay about £11 more than £11 more for this card. Interesting. Interesting. It's the trades I want to look at. Now, Pavel accepts offers on a 129% basis, which is fair enough. But is it really 129%? That's what I'm interested in knowing. So let's have a look at some of these trades and see if these are really 129% or not. This one looks more like 200%, nearly. We're looking at nearly a double the valuation here. In terms of fiat, obviously, that's interesting, especially looking at floors. So that one intrigues me. Has he got any super rares we can look at? I want to look at some of his super rare trades. This one's interesting. Lucas Gamba for a Ki Sung Young. That doesn't seem like a great deal for Pavel. I think we may have found an actual. Oh no, he sent £15 on top. Never mind. Okay, fair enough. I want to see a couple of super rare trades because these ones always interest me. So Castillejo. Do you know what? That one's not horrendous actually. That's a pretty decent deal. Maybe Pavel's changing. Maybe Pavel is starting to. Oh god, that looks like a lot of cards. Hang on, this looks like a lot of cards. ETH plus 4's now of £1,100. What? How? Oh, I know how. I guarantee it's because what happens... This happens a lot, right? Pavel will get a card like this and chuck him up and, like... It'll be an insanely expensive... I don't know, Pavel. This is interesting. A lot of... If you want to, feel free to go through transactions. I'm not going to sit here and roast Pavel for the whole time. I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy, and I think that a lot of people in his position would probably also try and maybe be a bit extortionate for the price of some of the cards. I think that maybe recently he's been a little bit better. I'm not sure. This one's interesting. So, actually, to be fair... No, actually, apparently valuation that day was £100 more. Anyway, I'm going to stop it because I just feel like I'm bullying for no reason. Pavel, I really hope that you don't win Mbappe and Haaland Super Rare in the same game week because I think you'll try and ask for £500,000 each for those cards. But fair enough. Maybe Pavel's changed a little bit, actually. I see him memeing a little bit on Twitter. I see maybe some of those transactions actually seemed half fair as well for the person buying it off Pavel. So maybe we're seeing a new Pavel trader, which I hope so. That'd be great if we see a new Pavel. A new year, a new Pavel. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on to the next gallery. All right, next up we have got Lupazor. Now, Lupazor, actually, I've spoke to quite a lot in the past. I'm going to get the other background up here so it's a bit brighter. He's messaged me a bunch of times on Twitter asking for advice on certain players. Now, the only thing I will say is that I don't mind doing these gallery reviews and suggesting certain players here or there, but if someone straight up asks me should I buy this player, I hate saying yes or no, because if I say yes, you should buy that player, then you buy that player, and that player breaks his leg, falls off a building, moves to Saudi Arabia, any of the above or something else that stops him and turns him into a 0.0001 ETH card, right? I feel like it's my responsibility, which isn't, but it kind of is at the same time, right? So it's like, that's why I don't say straight up yes or no to buy a card. I just give suggestions maybe. But I feel like this is really good for Lupazor because obviously he's messaged me a bunch of times, so it'd be good to give him a proper gallery review. So the focus is to lean out his gallery and focus on one or two main teams, getting Trent and Salah for his Liverpool collection to 3%. Next season is the Liverpool stack with a second team as backup if needed to rotate the main team. Funds are not a lot right now, and he's not willing to sell anyone. Now, it's interesting. I know you're not willing to sell any cards, but I'm going to be a bit brutal with you right now and say that I know you love this card. Lupazor's French. Mbappe's obviously, a legend in France and whatnot. I can't lie to you, brother. I think you should sell your Mbappe. Your Mbappe takes up almost half of your gallery valuation. And I just think for a gallery of your size, I don't think a rare Mbappe makes any sense at all. Considering what you can get for the same price if you sold your Mbappe, I think you could get a bunch of really good cards and potentially put out multiple decent teams. Now, that being said, you might already be planning on selling him. And obviously it doesn't make sense me telling that if that's the plan. But for me, I think I really like Antoine Griezmann. You've got some really nice players. You've got rare Alisson, who's a beast. You've got super rare Ibrahim Konate, who I think is a very good player. Super rare Szoboszlai, great player. And then you've got Mbappe and Griezmann. And I feel like if you were to go in and get, for example, Trent, and you were to go and get who you want to get Salah, for example, right? And you play All-Star Rare Pro with your Liverpool stack, what is the point in even having Mbappe in the first place? Looking at your rewards, though, you've won 0.24 ETH in a total of 17 rewards. I feel like it should be more than that. Obviously, Benzema's gone down a lot since the Saudi news, but he used to be, when did you win this card? You won him in game week 363 as a tier 1. It definitely would have been, he would have been a lot more expensive back then. So, I feel like 0.24 is not actually accurate to what you've actually won. And obviously, you've won a Bar Ramseller and you've won a Goodmanson as well, which is decent. I think that you are also training your lineups really well. If this is your plan, though, for your, Champion Europe or All-Star Rare Pro team, again, personally, I don't know, man. Look, this team would definitely win rewards. I'm not saying it wouldn't. It will win rewards. But from experience, when you put all your eggs into one basket, aka you put all your eggs into one big team, when you could spread those funds across, it usually doesn't end very well. And I say that because you could sell your Mbappe, for example, for, he's going for about £4,400, right? And you bring in a Trent and a Salah. Now, if we look at how much those cards are currently worth, Trent is currently going for about 1,000. I don't think he's 1.8k. You can get it for about 1.5k. And Salah is currently going for around £700, right? That's about, let's say, 2.3k to be generous, right? You've still got another £2,100 there and a Griezmann that you're not using if you put Trent and Salah into this team, and you can then go and use that 2,000 however much pounds to building a second strong lineup, so you can have at least two lineups, or maybe you build two half decent lineups for £2,000, because you could build a Cap 240 rare team or you could even build a Cap 240 super rare team for £2,000 and start grinding ETH, or you could build Cap 240 rare team and an all-star rare team for £2,000, or you could get your Liverpool stack way higher percentage on collection bonus and build a second really strong team for £2,000. So that's why I think it sounds harsh, and I'm not telling, obviously I think you will keep your Mbappe. I think I do understand when there's a really close connection. I've had cards that don't make sense to my gallery before as well, right? Like I bought a Lewandowski when my gallery was worth like, back when Lewandowski was worth 8 grand and my my gallery was worth 10, I bought Lewandowski and had a terrible team around him back when he was at Bayern Munich. So like I totally understand and I get it. And I totally like understand the connection to the cards. And if you're going to keep the card, it's completely on you. I'm not saying you shouldn't keep the card. If you want to keep the card, you keep it. But yeah, if I was in your shoes, I would probably sell Kylian Mbappe, maybe even Mbappe and Griezmann, and use those funds to fill out your Liverpool team and go and build 1 or 2 more strong teams. Because then the other thing with that as well, and it's one thing, and the one reason why I like building multiple lineups rather than having one super strong lineup is because I'm going to use this game week as a perfect example, right? For me, and obviously we're in different positions, but like it's the idea of it, right? So this game week, for example, my Cap 240 super rare team is likely dead already, unless we get a clean sheet from Guzan, we get an insane score from Mars Robinson, and Ojeda gets a goal or an assist. It's very unlikely that this team gets the threshold, right? So that's a dead lineup right there. All-star rare, another dead lineup. It doesn't matter how good Davidson plays, it's dead, right? 43 points and 40 points and 35 points is a dead lineup right there as well. Gutting. All-star rare pro, Sasaki, my captain, DMP'd, unexpected. We didn't really know much about it. Sasaki random DMP, and obviously a no clean sheet from Asako. All-star rare pro, dead lineup, which is really frustrating because it's 2 of my best super rares in this lineup and one of my best rares currently. However, with all that heartbreak, this lineup is 100% still alive because obviously Ki Sung-young hasn't got his AA through yet, and he's not played too many minutes here, but 26 minutes from Ki Sung-young is definitely enough time for him to get maybe 10, 15 AA. He is really good like that. And obviously we get a 62 point from Yorogome, and we have some good matchups here. So there's definite potential of getting the ETH from Cap 240 rare. We have Champion America rare, which is complete outsider's punt, but it's still alive and there's still potential. And we also have Champion America rare pro, which is a strong lineup and again, still has potential. So that's why I think, you know, instead of going with one super strong lineup and it potentially failing on the first day and ruining your entire weekend, if you can build 2 or 3 good lineups for the price of one super strong lineup, I think that it will be beneficial for you, especially in a weekend standpoint. If your first lineup dies, you have 2 more lineups with potential, right? Anyway, that's kind of my standpoint on this gallery. However, I think, like I said, it'd be impossible. I think it would be impossible for you to sell this card. I feel like your connection with this card is too strong. But it does hurt my soul seeing you play a Kylian Mbappe in a freaking super rare kickoff, bro. In super rare kickoff for this card. I mean, what did you even sell this card for? £100. It hurts my soul. What game week was it? 377. This hurts. That hurts my soul, man. That hurts. Let me look at this lineup real quick. I mean, this lineup, like, if you had, for example, a different rare in here over Lobotka, if you had, let's say, Joao Paulo, what did Joao Paulo score in this game? 68. If you had rare Joao Paulo in this and you put it in all-star rare, I guarantee you probably would have won a better prize with like a Griezmann or Mbappe captain than £100 card. I really do think you would have, because it would have been what would you have been? You probably would have got maybe 400 points in all-star rare with the bonuses. Yeah, man, that hurts my soul, bro. No, but on a real though, like, I'm being harsh with this one, but only because we know each other well and you've messaged me a bunch of times, and I know that you appreciate the advice and you're not just going to act upon what I say, you're going to do your own research too. So yeah. Next gallery for this video is one I'm really excited to look at. It's Football Coop's gallery. He decided to sell all his rares a few weeks ago and go super rare only, which he feels has done wonders for his rewards. The strategy is to continue strengthening in America and podium in D2 regularly. I'd also consider stepping into Cap 240 unique. Now I'm excited for this one because this gallery is a really fun gallery to look at. It's a 45 ETH gallery, and he's pretty much super rare only, bar 1 or 2 rare cards. The only thing that I don't like about this gallery is it is pretty much America focused. Like, there is 1 or 2 cards I think that he has that aren't America cards, but majority of his cards, especially strongest ones, are in the Americas region. And obviously come October you don't have any lineups, right? But I'm assuming you plan on winning more cards to fund the gallery to buy more cards for the future. I'm guessing that's what would make sense, right? In terms of your gallery, though, you've won 19 ETH plus 5 ETH, 24 ETH. You've won over half your gallery valuation back, which is very impressive and not very common. I don't see a lot of people with returns like this very often. It's very rare you see someone with a return of nearly 50% or more of their gallery valuation. So very impressive. And you've won some nice cards as well. Like, you have some decent cards that you've won, and obviously I think sold them on to fund the gallery here or there. For example, Facundo Torres is a great super rare that you've won. A really fun card. And then before that, we have a bunch of rare cards that you've won as well. Now, what I would say, I don't have a huge amount of advice for your gallery because I'm not super clued up when it comes to super rares at all. And looking at how you've done so far this week in America Super Rare, you've done really well with Brunetta so far. I was going to say the only card I think would work really well for you that I don't think you already have. Let me just double check you don't already have him, because I don't want to sound really stupid if you... Yeah, okay, you don't. It's the only card that I would suggest for you is this one, this Harold Preciado super rare. I feel like Nep has one at the moment. He might have sold his, actually. Did Nep sell his super rare? Seller. I know Chani had one. Does Nep still have one? Nep might still have one. You might be able to get it off Nep. I know Nep, I think, is looking to sell some cards at the moment. But Preciado is a really solid scorer who went through a little bit of bad form towards the back end of last season, but he's definitely a really good card to get, in my opinion, especially when they're at home. Was it at home, or is he an away card? No, he's actually the away guy. He's a really strong player when they're away. And I think that, yeah, it could be a really good addition to your gallery because you already have the Brunetta card. And very often, or more often than not, when Brunetta does well, Preciado does well as well, they link up really well together. So I think could be a really nice pickup for your gallery. Aside from that, I don't have a huge amount of advice for you, mainly because, like, you have an overwhelming amount of super rares, more super rares than I have rare cards. And I just don't really know, realistically, like, what would be a good pickup for you. I really don't. I feel like you're in a much better position to make your own choices than any suggestions I have to make, bar Preciado. And I also think your gallery is probably worth a lot more than 45 ETH. I think it's another one where it's like, a lot of the time, if a card hasn't sold in a while, like, the last sale price will be huge or really low based on the last sale. I think a good example in my gallery, if he still has that sale price, would be where is he? Where are you? Yeah. So this Davidson card is not worth 1.2 ETH or whatever it is, but that's his last sale. So apparently in my gallery he's worth 1.2 ETH, which is just not the case, right? He's not worth that. Did he get a big chance missed? No, he didn't. He's just not worth that at all, right? Great card when he gets in form, but he's not hit that form for a very long time. It might be towards the back end of his career now, to be honest. Like, he's 32 years old. It might be time for him to retire at some point soon. But yeah, so that happens a lot where, like, it reckons that he's worth £1,796 on Sorare data, when it's just not the case. So yeah, but yeah, your gallery's great, and your returns, like your yield back is nutty, bro. I think definitely moving to super rare has definitely made a lot of sense for you. Your rewards have been fantastic recently, and they're all been super rare cards as well, which make they're all worth more, right? So yeah, you've been doing really well. It's a very impressive gallery. The last gallery for this video, I think it's been a pretty decent starting episode. Now, I think I also will get better as time goes by with these episodes. It is the first one. I am going to try and improve on them as well, and I think that my rating team series in FIFA definitely improved as time went on. But we've got Joel Sorare's gallery, building up rare stacks for Champ Euro in second division. Already have Elche base, build super rare cap 240, enter every possible limited lineup comp during Euro season. Got about 950 USD available and not tied to keeping anyone. Everyone has a price. Let's have a look. See. Now, this one is an interesting one, and one that I'm gonna keep very limited to my advice because I don't know a huge amount about a lot of your players. One thing I've noticed, you have a lot of goalkeepers. I don't know who starts, who doesn't. I don't know, like, if any, like, for example, this guy apparently started 100% over the past 5 games. I don't know who this guy is. Bredlow, right? He's not worth a huge amount, which tells me that he isn't the starter for next season. So I don't know. Like, I don't know, right? Like, you know, is Dimitrovic, is he starter for next season because he was getting benched randomly? Yeah, this one's a really tough one for me. A really tough one in general. I think that you have got a lot of money locked up in limited as well. If you're planning on moving into rare, I'd probably start selling a bunch of your limited cards to try and pick up in rare. You also have a super rare Brendan Chardonnay. I noticed that as well. That's a decent card. You have a super rare Coletta car. Yeah, this one's an interesting gallery. One thing I will say is, if I'm being brutally honest with your gallery, and I don't know this for sure, but I don't see the vision. You know, and some of the gallery reviews that we give in this series will be harsh, but I don't see the vision in your gallery. I look at it and I don't see, like, I don't get it. I filtered it to Champion Europe, by the way, just for context. You have a bunch more cards than this, but I filtered it Champion Europe specifically. I don't really see the vision. I don't see a whole lot of synergy with a lot of your players, and maybe that's because some of the old season cards aren't from that certain team, and I don't know the certain teams that well. I see that you've got Danilo Suarez, who I believe is Bochum defender, and I saw you had the Bochum goalkeeper as well, but he's not an insane scorer. You know, he might be decent for cap modes, but bar that, I mean, he doesn't start some games as well, right? I think you've got the Bochum goalie, who's a decent card. For me, if I were you, I'd probably look at maybe picking up whoever is a decent Bochum defender. I mean, is this guy Audets? How does he score? Is he a consistent scorer when they keep a clean sheet? He's not a bad scorer. He's definitely better than the other guy. I think maybe looking at something like that could be, oh, he's moved, and never mind, he plays for Dinamo Moscow now. I take that back. Yeah, I don't really know the plan. You've won 0.57 ETH, so about 10% of your gallery back, plus 0.65 in ETH earnings, 1.1. Hey, to be fair, you've probably won about a quarter of gallery valuation already, which is impressive. That's a decent turnaround. You players like Luke Thomas, who I imagine went up a little bit, right? Yeah, he went up a tiny bit, I think. And yeah, you have a few decent cards, but for me, yeah, I don't know the I don't want to give too much suggestions here because I don't really know the plan. You know, it seems a little bit all over the place. I think definitely clearing out some goalkeepers potentially and focusing on quality rather than having a bunch of quantity here could be decent. I know obviously what it looks to me like is you have Ryman and SS, so you have the backup to Ryman, which makes a lot of sense obviously. Then you have Badia, and I'm assuming a couple of these are backups to other goalkeepers that you have as well. But yeah, to me, it's very, very interesting and a little bit makes difficult understanding because I just don't understand the plan. But maybe that's just me being stupid. You know, that also could be the case. But yeah, I see a overall lack of quality. I think maybe what could be a good idea for you, given the fact you've got a rare Pau Torres already, and you have a Leon Bailey too, is potentially moving into getting a Martinez goalkeeper. Or Martinez, Emiliano Martinez. I think that with the right matchup, and especially given the fact that they've got, I believe, Conference League this year, could be a strong goalkeeper. He gets some big boy AA scores as well, and he's great for penalties. I always back him to save a penalty. So he could be a decent addition to your gallery, potentially, if you were to sell maybe one or two of your goalkeepers and bring in a more quality option. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really know. It's a difficult one for me. Because I'm not really sure on the idea behind the gallery and moving forward. So yeah, interesting. But obviously, if I've been stupid, then please roast me. Tell me I've been stupid and clearly don't understand it. You know what I mean? Feel free to let me know. But that is going to be it for the video for rating your galleries. I'll try and bring this out every single week. Please follow me on Twitter so you guys get notified when we're going to be reviewing galleries next. And of course, leave your comments down below for anybody's gallery that you want to give advice on. I'm going to try and get guests on this as well. So that is going to be the plan for the future. But I appreciate you guys chilling and watching. Thank you all. Subscribe to this channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next video.